talking to COMELEC Chair George Garcia. We booked this guesting days ago, in case you're wondering why we're not talking about the Cebu earthquake. So, Chairman Garcia, can you hear us okay? Oh, he's on Zoom.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Magandang hapon din po sa mga kababayan natin.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Magandang hapon.
Oh. So we have a lot of things to talk to you about, Chair, no? Pero just to give it a bit of structure, we'll start off with the BARM elections first, and then also yung mga lingering issues over the May 2025 elections. Tapos, towards the end, we'll talk about in the second half, we'll talk about the issue with the campaign donations. But Ed, do you want to start off with BARM?
Well, sir, the Supreme Court may ruling kanina declaring Bangsamoro Autonomy Act 58 and 77 unconstitutional. Supposedly that postpones daw yung BARM elections that's scheduled for dapat this month, October. Is that correct? Hindi kailangan ng batas to reset the elections to a firm date? It just has to take the Supreme Court to declare certain provisions unconstitutional? Is that how it goes?
Una po muna, we have not yet received a copy of the decision. It would appear that everything came from the pronouncement of the spokesperson of the Supreme Court kanina po. So hindi pa po namin nababasa yung kabuuan ng mismong desisyon ng Korte Suprema. But you are right that it would mean that there is no law on the part of the Commission to enforce comes October 13, and therefore it would result really to the postponement of the election of October 13. Ang sabi po kanina sa pronouncement ng spokesperson ng Supreme Court, the next election should happen by March 30. But however, the Bangsamoro Parliament will have to come up with a new law on districting before October 30, which is exactly 1 month, and at the same time it should exceed 120 days prior to the conduct of the election. So more or less mga November po yon. So medyo pag-aaralan po natin kung ano talaga yung eksaktong sinabi ng ating kataas-taasang hukuman. But at least it would appear na medyo tama po yung pag-comply natin, pagsunod natin sa restraining order ng Supreme Court, because really there was confusion before kung ano ba talaga ang batas na ipapatupad ng COMELEC. And this time, the Supreme Court said even BAA 58, the original districting law, and BAA 77, the amendatory or repealing law, were both declared unconstitutional. So, ang point ngayon po is back to zero ang COMELEC. Kasi po, technically, yung lahat na naprint namin na balota, pinagandaan namin based yan sa BAA 58. At pagkatapos kung dinideclare po ng constitutional yon, nangangulugan will be waiting for the new law to be passed by the Parliament. So the ball now is in the hands of the Bangsamoro Parliament.
Gaano kalaki, COMELEC, yung resources na nasayang?
Ang budget po ng Bangsamoro parliamentary election ay 2.7 billion pesos. Hindi pa naman po namin nagagastos yung lahat sapagkat yung pong mga 65% po nun ay intended for the honoraria of the electoral board members and other workers doon po sa mga bawat presinto at polling places. So more or less po siguro nakagastos na kami ng mga kulang-kulang 1 billion doon po sa paghahanda natin supposedly for the October 13 Bangsamoro parliamentary elections.
You don't think you're gonna you don't have to ask for more money essentially kahit na move?
I definitely po in our country, so long as there will be postponement of the election, there will always be additional resources that the COMELEC and funding that the COMELEC will be needing. Basta po nag-reset tayo ng election dito sa ating bansa. Lagi po, especially now that it's not very clear as to what kind of districting will the Bangsamoro arrive at. And surely, dahil magkakaroon sila, they are instructed to come up with a new Bangsamoro districting law, then we will have to reprint all the ballots. We will have to conduct all, again, voters education campaign. We will have to correct our system. We will have to, kasi nga po, automated ang election natin. And syempre po, kakailanganin lahat ng budget doon sa mga bagay na gano'n.
So, isasama na yan sa...
Magkano kaya yun, Chairman?
2026?
Additional.
Mga 1 billion din po, ayun po ang initial estimate natin. Simply because, remember po, when we list the machines including the transmission devices, supposedly by October 13. So mga tuloy po, hindi yun, nakalist po yung mga machines na yan, and therefore we will have to enter into new contract of lease for the next election, which will happen supposedly by March 30. So masyado pong medyo at this point, hindi pa po natin talaga alam kung ano mangyayari because it will depend po based sa ating understanding, it will all depend kung the Bangsamoro Parliament will be able to come up with a new districting law. Take note po, it took them 1 year to come up with Bangsamoro Autonomy Act number 77. And therefore, binibigyan lang sila practically ng isang buong buwan o kahit extend pa natin ng month of November. The question is, will they be able to come up with a new law? A law that will be constitutional if tested as against the Constitution and other provisions of the organic law.
Kung hindi nila magawa yun, COMELEC Chair.
Yung po sir ang
because in
medyo Sir Ron, hindi ko po masasagot pa sa kasalukuyan kasi siyempre the question kasi po talaga is it's actually the Supreme Court that fixed the date already. As doon po sa question ni Sir Ed kanina, if the Supreme Court will have that power and authority, of course, it's the Supreme Court and therefore we will have to follow and abide. Dati-dati po kasi, it's always the Congress of the Philippines that fixes the date. In fact, the resetting was done by the Congress of the Philippines. Meron po tayong Republic Act 12123 which fixed the date of the election after ma-reset siya from May 12, naging October 13. This time, it's actually the Supreme Court that is fixing the date and saying it's March 30, but Parliament, you have to come up with a new districting law between this period and that period.
Do you
So
foresee...
you're saying pwede yung ma-challenge kung sakasakali ng Congress kasi it's parang usurpation ng power nila, di ba? Pwede yung questionin pa rin ng Kongreso, di ba?
Yes po, Ma'am Ami, but hindi ko po kasi nadinig kanina kung the decision is executory or subject to a motion for reconsideration or, for example, the COMELEC or the Parliament can file something for purposes of clarifying whether, paano if the period is not complied with, paano, what will happen if, kasi po magiging ano po yan domino effect. If the Parliament is not able to come up with a law as prescribed in the decision, then surely all preparations will have to be moved again, including perhaps even the conduct of the election. Because the March 30 presupposes that the Parliament is able to come up with a new districting law during the period as provided for in the decision of the Supreme Court.
Correct.
Pero so if you have the usual 15-day period for the filing of appeals, that falls beyond the beyond the 12 days left before the original date for the elections.
Tapos the part po ng COMELEC, in fact, we did not file even our manifestation is not in defense of BAA 77 because we honestly believe that indeed there were certain legal infirmities doon sa BAA 77 kaya po BAA 58 ng aming pong pinaghandaan. And so dito po maybe we will not be filing the motion for reconsideration anymore. We'll just be filing a manifestation that we are willing and very much ready to comply with the Supreme Court directive. However, our compliance po kasi will be dependent on the compliance of other agencies or other instrumentalities of the government.
Do you foresee any problems or issues or even maybe tensions among the stakeholders as a result of this postponement? Kasi it's been a bit heated over there down south. You have the MLF with grumblings and with the decommissioning process and the suspension and all that. And then you also have the rivals. Do you foresee anything?
Sir Ed, at least po hindi si COMELEC ang nag-postpone. Kasi po we were supposed to declare already a postponement. We were supposed to render a decision to invoke Section 5 of the Omnibus Election Code on the postponement of election. At least po, this is now the Supreme Court and everybody will have to abide and follow the Honorable Supreme Court. So I guess if the COMELEC is following, then it's our plea for other stakeholders to likewise abide and follow the Honorable Supreme Court. It's the highest court of the land and therefore that is the rule of law. So yung mga grumblings po at saka yung mga siguro po yung mga problems can be settled so long as the Parliament is able to act immediately on the directive of the Supreme Court.
Yes, sir. But the Supreme Court decision does not always make people happy. Like in the 2008 MOA AD, you had a virtual uprising in Lanao by the MIRF.
Sir Ed, ano po ang isang pumasok agad sa isip ko kanina, aside from the fact that will they be able to comply with the period as prescribed in the decision, ang question po is, what if the law that they will be enacting will still be unconstitutional or without preempting the action of the parliament? Or what if lalo lang itong naging madaming nullity or madaming provisions that if tested as against the existing law or constitution will not pass the scrutiny of even the Supreme Court. So paano na po yun? Problema na naman yun. And what if there will be other actions aside from districting? Remember po, meron kaming issue ng none of the above. And at the same time, meron kaming issue patungkol sa political parties. The question po dyan is, because of this decision and because the Parliament will be coming up with a new law supposedly, are we going to open the filing of the certificates of candidacy? Ang guess ko po is yes, because you're going to change already the composition of the districts. It should not be based already on BAA 58 and BAA 77, and therefore, initially, my understanding is we will have to open the filing of the certificates of candidacy. Number two, we're going to likewise open the filing of the so-called accreditation of political parties and perhaps even sectoral organizations. Pwede na rin po kasing galawin yun eh. Pwede na rin po nila kasing i-amend yung provision ng law patungkol sa mga bagay na yan.
But again,
Gulo-gulo,
the
no?
problem is
Chairman, may
asking
isa
for...
pang naapektuhan yung BARM elections eh. You postponed, well, not you, no? Kundi yung Kongreso na pinirmahan na, which lapsed into law, na postpone yung barangay election again for the how many times na dahil ang ginamit na excuse, kailangan daw gawin niyo muna yung election sa BARM. Kumusta naman yung barangay election? Kumusta yung preparation niyo?
As of this time po, Ma'am Ami, it's November 2, 2026. We did not stop our preparation. Not because umaasa pa kami sa December 1, pero sayang po kasi yung panahon eh. Ganun naghahanda rin kami sa Bangsamoro. And therefore, we have a set of people in charge for the barangay and SK elections. Kasi po, remember, it's a manual election. It's not automated and therefore mas komplikado kaysa po automated election. But however, we appealed before the House of Representatives during our plenary budget debates, and we said we'll be needing additional funding simply because pag na-postponed, remember po during August 1 to 10 registration for the barangay and SK, 10 days lang po yan, it resulted to a 2.8 million first time na ganun kadami ang botante sa isang araw lamang. And then we're going to resume the registration by the 3rd week of October this month, and then it will run up to July of the next year. Even on the assumption that we will be having additional 1.4 million na mga botante, that will be additional 4 million registered voters na idadagdag po natin. So additional precincts, additional electoral board members, additional election paraphernalia, and such other materials that will be needing during the election. And of course, pinaglaban po namin talaga, and thank you very much po sa House of Representatives, because pinagbigyan nila yung additional honoraria ng mga guru natin. That's why they included an additional budget of 7.46 billion sa budget po ng COMELEC in order to finance the reset barangay and SK elections.
Pero hindi pa sigurado yung reset na yan, Chairman eh. It's in the Supreme Court. Hindi ka ba pwede mag-file ng manifestation sa Supreme Court? Napakabilis-bilisan nga yung ano nyo, yung ruling nyo para hindi ganito kagulo, para malaman natin kung tutuloy sa December or what. Nag-challenge siya si Romulo Macalintal. Lagi siyang nananalo when he challenges eh. Kaya lang it's too late kapag lumalabas na yung ano.
At least po, Ma'am Ami, at this point na tayo po October 1, after almost 1 month na petition, wala pa naman po ni-issue na restraining order ang Honorable Supreme Court. Usually po talaga, pag nag-file at pagkatapos may legal basis yung petition, nag-i-issue kagad ng restraining order ang Supreme Court in order to prevent the COMELEC from enforcing law. But in the meantime, wala po. That's why, as far as we are concerned, there will be no election by December 1. In fact, yesterday, for the information of everyone, we issued the notices to everyone to terminate all and every preparation of the Commission pertaining to December 1 barangay and SK elections. Kasi po, kung hindi kami mag-i-issue, supposedly po, filing ngayon ng candidacy sa barangay and SK. And in order to prevent people from such kind of confusion, we issue the necessary notice so that at least alam nila wala palang filing ng candidacy, wala na palang ganito, yung calendar of activities namin, terminate na po namin, and we will just be coming up with a new calendar of activities in relation to the November 2, 2026 Barangay and SK elections.
Okay, Chair, we have to move on na, no? Because we're running out of time. And what I wanted to talk to you about is yung mga movements, right? First of all, may open seat na sa House of Representatives with the resignation of Congressman Zaldico. Si Congressman Garbin has already, he's the one who said that the person replacing him would be the next nominee, si Jan Chan. Can you confirm that they've reached out to you? And the other question is, ano na po nangyari dun sa mayoralty ni former President Rodrigo Duterte? Last we spoke, hindi pa po na-settle. He hasn't taken his oath up until this day. So what will happen to that seat?
Yes, but doon sa first question po that you are right. The party list already reached out to the Commission on Election, and sabi po natin, we'll just be waiting for the pronouncement and letter coming from the House of Representatives. First, the House of Representatives must declare vacancy doon sa position, kasi otherwise po, hindi po namin alam kung ito ay officially accepted yung kanya pong resignation, and therefore that should be coming from the House of Representatives. The notice should be coming from them and requesting the Commission on Elections to prepare and to submit to the House of Representatives a new certificate of proclamation in this particular instance in favor of the third nominee. Kasi nga po, dalawa yung nakuha nilang seats. And therefore, since vacant yung number 1 seat, the number 2, Congressman Pido Garbin, will become the number 1, and the number 3 will become now the number 2, and therefore we will have to issue that proclamation in favor of the number 2, the name of which you already mentioned. But however, we cannot do so yet until the Honorable House of Representatives, through the Secretary General, will ask the COMELEC for such via a request for such a certificate of proclamation. Ganun po talaga ang procedure. Because it is an internal matter, a matter of membership issue, and therefore the COMELEC must need a trigger, and that trigger is that letter coming from the Secretary General. Now, on the second issue po, yes, when it comes to the issue of a duly elected local official already requiring to assume and requiring to take his oath, dito po talaga when it comes to the assumption and the requirement as to the assumption, it is now incumbent upon the DILG to determine as to whether compliance with the Local Government Code of Republic Act 7160 was fully satisfied. It's no longer on the part of the COMELEC because we already issued the necessary certificate of proclamation in favor of the mayor and in favor of the vice mayor.
So it's pending with the DILG at this point?
Yes po, as of this point.
Okay, ano ba? We go to another topic?
Okay, so
Punta
since...
na sa iskandalo.
Because we brought up Congressman Ko na rin, and klaro naman yung process for Ako Bicol, no? But it's just a procedural thing. Well, the big issue, as you know, Congressman, Commissioner, Chair pala, sorry, is the campaign donations at this point. Last we spoke to you, you said you were investigating up to, was it 20 candidates that had accepted donations from contractors in the 2022 elections. Ano na pa yung latest doon? What are your latest findings?
If my memory serves me right, originally 20 yung mga contractors, but now it reached 55 na po. We have written 3 weeks ago the Department of Public Works and Highways for confirmation as to whether the 55 contractors that we have gathered the names of which from the source of candidates sa 2022, from president down to the governor and vice governors, are indeed public works contractors. Kasi po may nakalagay po sila doon na construction corporation, etc. So from 20 naging 52 and down 55 po ngayon. We would like to confirm that indeed tama naman po yung PCIJ as regards the name as mentioned doon when it comes to the candidates mentioned. However, meron lang po kaming konting discrepancies doon sa pangalan because the name of, for example, the name of a contractor does not tally with the name as appearing in the SOSE in our possession. For example po, the name is supposedly in the SOSE is AMI, but in the yung pinatawag sa Senado ay ED. So we will have to confirm to the DPWH sino ba talaga yung contractor doon. Yun naman pong isa, for example, for candidate yung mas mataas sa senators, ay sa halip na construction company, realty firm po siya. So alam po natin yung realty, baka engaged po sa lease, baka engaged sa construction ng subdivision, condominium, and baka po hindi engaged sa public works. So therefore, we still need the confirmation likewise from the DPWH. All other names, again, kasama rin po yung sa listahan namin. Doon po sa isang kandidato na naging senador, nag-issue na po ang COMELEC at nag-appear na po yung lawyer po nung mismong contractor, nag-submit ng affidavit and mga documents niya in relation to his answer to the issue as to whether indeed that he particularly gave donation or contribution to that particular candidate. This week po, we are going to issue naman the necessary notice to the senator simply because meron naman pong admission and there is no need for us to be able to confirm to the DPWH kung talagang public works contractor yung nire-representa nung naturang tao but not the company.
Gano'ng katagal to, COMELEC Chair? Halimbawa, yung kaso ni former Senate President Chis Escudero, yung owner, yung contractor, ay nag-testify under oath sa Congress. So very clear na yung kanyang sinabi. Nagbigay siya ng 30 million doon sa candidacy ni Senator Chis Escudero. So hindi ganun kahirap na yung ebidensya dahil sinabi na niya under oath eh. So yung mga ganitong klase ay gaano katagal yan? Dahil siyempre hinaantay ng tao eh.
Yeah.
At ito ay mag-reflect din sa gobyerno kung gaano katagal o gaano kabilis yung ganitong klaseng mga kaso.
And actually, even former Senate President Escudero has admitted the 30 million peso donation.
Yes po. In fact, as I've mentioned po, yung 55 namin na mga listahan ng mga contractors, kasama naman po yung contractor na yon, si Mr. Lubiano. However, 54 na lang yon dahil hindi naman po namin kakailanganin panghintayin yung mismong confirmation from the DPWH. Again, as you have mentioned, may admission naman po. But this week, we are requiring the senator to submit naman his own answer, and afterwards, the particular instance or case or incident is deemed submitted for resolution of the body in charge of that particular case, yung pong Political Finance and Affairs Department, and for this body to make the recommendation to our Law Department and eventually to the Commission and Bank. So hopefully po, if matatapos na yung proseso kaagad ng pag-file ng answer, because we have to afford the good senator an opportunity to be heard, then we will be able to submit immediately for resolution yung naturang case po.
Will the senator have to face you in person? Kasi balita namin, pupunta daw, ready naman daw pumunta sa inyo si Senator Chis.
Sa amin naman po,
does he need to face you?
Opo, sa amin naman po, pumunta o hindi, to us, it's not a non-issue, simply because so long as it is an affidavit under oath, and for example, if the lawyer is there, sa atin naman pong jurisdiction, even if you are not personally appearing, kahit sa piskalya, so long as you are submitting an affidavit under oath, then the representation of the lawyer may be enough. Although, meron po talaga na in order just to prove that indeed you are innocent or indeed that you are willing to face everybody or everything, then minsan po uma-appear naman sa amin. Katulad po ng contractor. The contractor did not appear, only the lawyer of the contractor appeared. It's enough for us. We required additional documents, and we're expecting that additional documents will be submitted to us very, very soon.
Chair Garcia, at this point, let's assume that he will say yes. Because even in this privileged speech 2 days ago, hindi naman niya dineny that he accepted the money. Let's say he responds to the COMELEC and says yes. What then?
Yes, then we will just be asking certain questions. Yun po kasi we do not interfere. The NBank doesn't interfere. It's that OP office na in charge po sa ganyan. Then perhaps he will be able to answer certain queries of our people doon sa opisina na yon, and then afterwards, after mag-submit po yung kanyang affidavits and perhaps other documents, then the case is now submitted for resolution of that particular office.
Pero sir, as far as you are concerned, who has the liability here? Is it both the contractor and the candidate, or is it just the contractor?
Without particularly referring to his case, because
Yes,
I
sir.
do not want to prejudge
Yes, sir. I understand.
whatever will be the action of the NBank. However, under Section 95, letter C, the contractor will be held liable, but under the last paragraph of Section 95, the one who solicited and at the same time the candidate who accepted the donation shall likewise be held liable. And that
Okay.
is provided under Section 263 and 264 of the Omnibus Election Code, that being considered as an election offense.
Okay, that's pretty clear.
Anong
Sir,
penalty
what
nun?
about other...
Anong penalty ng offense na yun?
Ma'am, 1 to 6 years imprisonment, Ma'am Ami, and kung may conviction by final judgment, then that will also include perpetual disqualification to hold public office. Take note po, I want to be very clear po, na hindi po ito ground ng disqualification sa part namin ngayon, simply because once a candidate had already been proclaimed, assumed office, taken his oath, wala na po kaming jurisdiction unless there is a pending case as against that candidate prior to the election and prior to his proclamation and taking his oath. Now, in the case, for example, of a senator or congressman, meron po silang internal processes on how to discipline their own members. In the case of the local officials, they can be charged administratively before either the ombudsman or the DILG, or yung po naman, pwede rin po kung criminal yung nature, meron po sa amin, iba yung election offense, and it will not it will not be double jeopardy if another case will be filed before the Office of the Ombudsman for the violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act and the ethical standard for government officials and employees.
Pero sir, what about the other candidates who ran in 2022? Among them, President Marcos. Of course, now President Marcos. Rodolfo Hilot gave him 20 million. He owns Rood Hill Construction. They bagged, 2.1 billion in contracts from the Public Works Department in 2022. Also, Jonathan Quirante of Quirante Corporation with 1 million donation to BBM's campaign kitty. Then you have Sara Duterte with SDevco, owned by Glenn Escandor, who also owns Genesis 88 Construction, which also was a contractor or a supplier. So you have the president, vice president, who may, of course, depending on when you start your investigation, the results of the investigation, who may be liable for accepting donations that are violative of Section 95 or Article 95. What happens to them po?
Impeachment.
Very important. Yes po, very important po sa amin yung pong confirmation ng DPWH simply because,
Yes, sir.
sabi ko nga po kanina, may discrepancies po kasi doon sa name as appearing doon sa PCIJ
Yes, sir.
report and
So
as
you will need
appearing in our
DPWH first to
source.
confirm. Yes,
And
sir.
number 2, yung po kasi isa realty, yung hinahanap namin is construction, public works contractor because yung po yung nakalagay sa Section 95C of the Omnibus Election Code. But however, just the same, these individuals' personalities are also part of the COMELEC investigation. Of course, we also, at this point, had required that particular office to study yung pong issue ng tinatawag na immunity from suit. Whether the immunity from suit, as if will be invoked, will cover both positions. So yung po, kinakailangan pag-aralan din po namin.
Because they're impeachable officials, you mean?
Yes.
Yes po, that's right po.
But even then, sir, even if they're impeachable officials, would this be a violation? I mean, would there be a determination by the COMELEC as whether or not there is a violation of the law on their part, regardless of whether there are cases filed?
Yes po, usually po kapag impeachable public official and then may tinatawag na immunity from suit. The immunity from suit is can be invoked during the period of the term of office of the particular impeachable public official who is immune from suit. But after the term of office has expired already, then the suit can now be filed and can now proceed as is, simply because ang purpose talaga ng immunity from suit is to protect the official during the time in order not to disturb him in or her doon sa performance of his or her duty.
I also just want to set the record straight. Section 95C of the Omnibus Election Code doesn't just limit to construction companies. It says natural and juridical persons that supply goods and services to the government. So they can be any company. They can be a stationary supplier that has a contract with the government, right? So why are you limiting yourself to DPWH, Chair?
I know, simply because po, tama po kayo. In fact, we are not limiting ourselves sa Section 95C. If you are going to read Section 95A, B, D, even including E, may mga other pong entities prohibited from making donation. In fact, we already instructed the office in charge that not to limit their investigation to public works contractors. Aside from that, service contractors, including mining companies, including those companies giving donations who are receiving what we call as yung mga franchise from the government. Kasi yun po yung mga prohibitions na nakalagay sa Section 95.
For example, sir, another example, Joel Villanueva, 20 million from New San Jose Builders. Yung nag-contribute sa kanya was not the owner, but the actual company, New San Jose Builders. And New San Jose is a contractor of NHA, not DPWH. So, pero nga, it kind of simplifies things kasi hindi naman, it's not a private individual who donated. It's actually the construction company that made the donation.
So isn't that a clear violation of the law, essentially, is what we're asking you? Because when we read the Omnibus Election Code, malinaw naman. Any contractor, any company that holds a franchise with the government should not be donating to candidates.
Yes po. And that's why po we, as tayo po ngayon nasa investigation stage and evidence gathering, including fact-finding, that's why po we will have to confirm as a matter of course and for purposes of strengthening a possible case, to confirm from the DPWH if indeed these companies have contracts prior to, during, or even after the conduct of the election of 2022.
So,
Pero Chairman, kung ma-establish yung violation of an election offense, hindi yun ground para tanggalin sila sa pwesto. I'm talking about senators, ha?
Yes po,
or
dahil
members
po-
of Congress anyway.
Yes po,
Hindi sila
in our-
pwedeng tanggalin for violating an election offense.
Unless there is a conviction by final judgment po, Ma'am Ami. In the case of Calusos versus Comelec, if you can still remember, sa name na yon, kahit po convicted pa siya ng Regional Trial Court, nakatakbo pa rin po siya noon as congressman because sabi ng Supreme Court, until there is a final judgment of conviction, then that person is presumed to be innocent and therefore is allowed to run unless there will be a final judgment.
Chairman, so clarification lang, from your vantage point, yung hindi lamang yung nagbigay ng contribution, kundi yung binigyan ang may kasalanan. Dahil yung isa kasing senator na concern, ang sinasabi niya, publicly, ang may kasalanan lang ay yung donor, hindi yung binigyan, hindi siya.
Nasa last paragraph po ng Section 95, wala po doon sa ABCD, nasa last paragraph po, that those who solicited and accepted donation contributions shall be likewise held liable. Just like the donors or contributors as mentioned above, which is A, B, C, D, and E.
It
Hindi
seems...
ko sabihin, hindi ko naman sinulisit.
Pero,
Paano nga
Ay,
yun,
kung
sir?
pinadala lang.
What did they say?
Pinadala lang,
I was a
sinasabi ng
passive
iba.
recipient.
Tumanggap eh.
Pero
Receive passive siya,
nakalagay po kasi yung nakalagay sa SOSI po kasi under oath at saka naka-declare po kasi yung pangalan, kaya po yung mismong pangalan ng mismong company.
Okay.
and the way I see it, Chairman, mukhang the ones who will deny this, that they violated the code, may dalawang lusot. Number one is the timing of the contribution. They'll say, okay, well, my company didn't have a contract with the government at that time, right? They could argue that. And then the secondly is there's a provision in the code that says
That the donation was made in the private capacity.
Hindi lang yon, but also that you're making political donations specifically with the intent of influencing political outcomes, right? They could say, oh no, this was just a loan, this was just a gift, right? How are you going to work
pero
around
doon
those?
po sila nakalist doon sa SOSE, doon po sila nakalist contributions and donations received. So ibig sabihin po, kahit pa anong reason, ano po ang basis or whatever, it will be defeated by the declaration in the SOSE, of which the name of the contractor was listed practically doon po sa list ng mga donors.
May limit sa gift na pwedeng accept mga government official under the code of conduct.
Although wala pong limit naman yung mismong pag-accept ng how much, doon naman po sa donation per se, sa campaigning. Yung po yung tinatanong din sa atin, kung meron bang cap, may limit, wala po, unlimited po yun, so long as the candidate will be reporting the excess later on and for purposes of payment of the income tax doon po sa natira na binigay sa kanya.
And again, as far as you're concerned, there is no distinguishing between the person and the company, especially if the person was the founder of the company, right? Hindi pwedeng hiwalayin yon.
Because po, ibabangga natin yung kanilang statement at saka argument na yan. I'm not saying that will be our final decision, but we will have to, ibabangga po namin yan doon sa provision ng Section 95 na natural or juridical persons po and therefore, ano ba ibig sabihin ng natural person doon? The law do we have to distinguish when you say natural person or it is an all-encompassing provision as to cover practically everybody?
Sir, I'll just circle back to the case of 2022, the presidential campaign. If the COMELEC finds that Rood Hill Construction, owned by Rodolfo Hilo, who donated 20 million to BBM's campaign, and Kirante Corporation, owned by Jonathan Kirante, who donated 1 million to the president's campaign, if the COMELEC finds that they were contractors of government or suppliers of the government at that time, would the president then have made a violation of the Omnibus Election Code, regardless of whether or not he's impeachable? I mean, just a simple fact that whether he violated the law or not.
At this point, Sir Ed, ayoko po muna sagutin yung bagay rin because definitely I will be preempting the action of the Commission and the interpretation of the law. But if in case we'll be able to confirm from the DPWH that indeed itong dalawang ito ay public work contractors, then we will have to summon them, we will have to require them to explain. As to whether the case can proceed after that because of the issue of the so-called immunity, then that will be the subject of the study of our law department.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why I'm saying regardless of whether they're subject to any criminal offense, kasi nga they're impeachable. But whether or not lang there would have been a violation of the law if they were found to have been contractors at the time.
Regardless po sa personality involved, ang aking po statement is that any contractors, public work contractors giving donations to candidates at the time of the filing, of the time of the candidacy of that particular candidate shall be held liable.
It is
Okay.
trying to pin the president, but
nga
sorry.
Grabe yung kausap mo, Ed.
Sorry, Chair. Before we run out of time,
That's usually Ronald's job.
I need to circle back and confirm the numbers again. Sabi nyo kanina, 55 contractors donated in the 2022 elections. Is that correct?
That's correct po.
To how many candidates?
Sa 55 na yon, merong candidate for president, candidate for vice president. I think 5 or 6 candidates for senators, and then 4 or 5 candidates for congressmen, and then may tatlo na party list, and then may 2 governors and 2 vice governors.
Pero pag sinabing contractors, Chairman, yan ba yung sinasabi ni Reg kanina na broader definition o yung narrower definition?
Mukhang DPWH lang to, right, Chair?
Sir Ronald, yung po yung isang bagay na kailangan po namin ma-confirm sa DPWH because po, it is really so unfair. Tingnan niyo po, meron po kasi kaming sinama doon. Glass and aluminum supplier. Glass and aluminum corporation. So meaning to say, from the point of view of everybody, na pag tinignan mo, hindi naman siya contractor, public works contractor, pero may posibilidad na makanangongontrata rin. Pero yung po nakalagay. Pero sinama na rin po namin sa 55, yung pong glass and aluminum. And such other perhaps na pwedeng ma-relate sa construction, kahit na hindi directly na sinabi na construction company siya.
Okay. So that's clear. That's for 2022 elections. What about for the 2025 midterms po? Have you gotten there?
Yes, ma'am. Hindi pa po namin napupuntahan kasi nga po originally doon na kami sa 2025 pero pinatigil natin yan. Ngayon po nakafocus yung mga tauhan namin. We only have 38 people doon po sa Political Finance and Affairs Department. It's actually an office, not newly created but several years ago it was created. Hindi pa po siya officially created because hanggang ngayon yung DBM had not given imprimatur to that particular office. So yung lahat po ng tao doon, casual employees, dalawa lang po ang lawyers, wala pong accountants doon. And in 2022 alone, meron pong 44,000 SOSE na tinitingnan sila and for 2025, it's 42,000. So medyo alam po natin yung resources-wise at saka time-wise and medyo nahihirapan din po but pinapabayaan lang naman po natin sila. We are not trying to pressure them to hasten things a little bit, but at least po, realizing that hindi po sila ganun kadami at napaka-limited lang din po ang kanilang pwedeng magawa.
Right. That's also why I was wondering why you're only investigating now. I understand din naman you're short-staffed kasi ngayon lang po tayo tinitingnan itong mga to when in fact it sounds like this has been a long-running issue. It sounds like contractors have been donating to candidates for a long time now and it's only now coming out in the open, right?
Yes, mabilis na mabilis lang. The reason is because under the SOSE law, in relation to the Omnibus Election Code, ang COMELEC can only motu proprio conduct investigation if it is overspending and underspending or erroneous reporting in the SOSE. If it is violation of Section 95 per our existing law, the COMELEC cannot motu proprio conduct investigation because we do not know practically everyone. Pangalan po, George Erwin Garcia, hindi naman po namin talaga alam kung siya ay contractor. That's why there should be somebody to file a formal petition as against that particular contractor or against that particular candidate. But because naging napakainit ang issue, the COMELEC decided to motu proprio conduct the investigation because it is our duty naman to really inquire doon sa lahat ng mga nire-report po sa amin. But again, supposedly the COMELEC cannot motu proprio in the same manner yung mga qualification of candidates as to age, citizenship, residency, registration as a voter, and literacy. We cannot motu proprio. There should be somebody to file a formal petition to cancel the candidacy of that particular candidate.
Tinignan niyo din ba yung mga contribution kay former Speaker Romualdez? Kasi nagrereklamo si Senator Chis Sinisingle out daw siya, bakit daw hindi yung kabila?
Yes po, yung po mga congressmen na mga tumakbo, tinignan po namin lahat. Kung napansin niyo po yung binanggit ko kanina, Ma'am Ami, 4 or I think 5 po yung congressmen.
Yes.
Ang nakatanggap lang ng contributions, supposed contribution from contractors. Maybe siguro nga, kaya naman nilang kasi konti lang po kasi ang constituency ng isang congressman Halimbawa po, 250,000.
It's a local campaign
Ang registered voters times 3 pesos po. Ma'am Ami, so that's only about 750,000 pesos. You don't need to spend millions, otherwise mag-overspend ka. So yun po siguro. That's why po, the reform should likewise include changing the law on the expenditure that can be spent by candidates. Saan naman po kayo nakakita? 3 piso per registered voter. Pagka may partido. Pag walang partido, 5 piso per registered voter. Pag presidente ng Pilipinas, vice-presidente, 10 piso per registered voter, whether may political party or wala. So hindi na po makatotohanan yun. That's 20 years ago, yung amount na yun. And that's why we need to revise or amend the law. Change na po, whether 20 pesos kapag ka local or 42 pesos, 40 kapag ka national candidates.
Panghuling
Kung may
tanong,
nakita kayo kay Speaker,
panghuling
Wala
tanong,
po.
Chairman.
na kontratista.
Wala po.
Panghuling tanong, Chairman, medyo delicate, no? May mga bumabalat sa inyo na kayo daw ay election lawyer dati ni Senator Chis Escudero. So, una, is that true? Ikalawa ay, how will you conduct yourself sa ganitong klaseng kaso?
Sorry, Chair, OT na tayo, 30 seconds lang po.
I'm not supposed to answer nga yung mga questions po ninyo because I already inhibited myself. I wrote a letter already to our Political Finance and Affairs Department that I am inhibiting dun sa kanya. But of course, for public purposes and so that we are informing the public, kaya po ako nagpapa-interview ng ganito without prejudging whatever they are going to do or influencing the action of our people. Take note po, even if Senator Chis Escudero was formerly a client of mine, nagtuloy-tuloy po yung kaso. Dire-diretso po yung kaso. In fact, yung sinasabi pa niya noong nakarang araw, with all due respect, ay na single out. Hindi naman po, dahil sila po kasi may umamin kahit po yung contractor. So talaga po sila yung mauunang ng komisyon. So just ibig sabihin po, even if I used to be a former lawyer of Senator Chis, even Senator Grace when they ran in 2026, as President and Vice President, totoo po yun. And that's why I inhibited myself sa case and therefore you cannot see my signature or my participation doon sa kanyang particular case.
Okay. We'll leave that there. Thank you once again so much for talking to us. That's COMELEC Chairman George Garcia.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon.